Youngest lady candidate, Michelle Lee, who is a graduate of the London School of Economics with a Bachelor of Science in Government and Economics, scoring a first-class honors in the government component of a degree program. She's a proud mother of 3 and a successful practitioner of the work-life balance. May I present our first candidate for the Bukit-Timah Holland GRC, Miss Michelle.
我们第一位的候选人米娟小姐，她是一位3个孩子的母亲。
Dear fellow Singaporeans, thank you for being here with us today. Happy Labor Day. We all work very hard, and I'm sure many of us will be happy for the holiday tomorrow. Labor Day is a good time to reflect on what we work for. How did Labor Day start? It started with workers realizing they were working too many hours for too little money. My friends, let me ask you, do you feel you work too many hours for too little money? I think most of us feel that way. Actually, perhaps only PAP ministers cannot complain that they work for too little money. As a private teacher, I'm paid for the hours that I teach. But each lesson means many more hours spent preparing for the lesson and marking the students' work. Furthermore, there is the opportunity cost of not being able to spend that time with my young children who are only 2 and 5 years old. Yes, being a mother requires a lot of time, especially if you are also working at the same time or running as a candidate for parliament. Despite our phenomenal GDP growth and per capita GDP, in Singapore, it feels like we are just running harder and harder, only to find ourselves standing still. Have you ever asked yourselves why this is so? In Europe, the rate of growth has been 1 to 3% for the last 10 years, but they are among the happiest countries in the world. I think we have forgotten how to prioritize happiness and well-being and quality of life, and we have sacrificed it all in the blind and unconsidered pursuit of high GDP growth. With GDP growth, we have inflation, overheating. The PAP government tells you that your high living costs are due to higher food prices everywhere, which they cannot control. Well, think about it. These costs you incur, GST, ERP, COE, high petrol taxes, these have nothing to do with global inflation of food prices and everything to do with the 3rd generation PAP government's poor policies. Number 1, GST. It affects the lowest income people most. It's very simple. Think of a bag of rice. Whether you're rich or poor, you're still paying the same for a bag of rice and the same amount of GST on that rice. That means a bigger portion of your income if you make less. Does a rich person earning twice your salary eat 2 times as many bags of rice? No, he does not. Number 2, CPF funds. They pay us a negative real interest rate. CPF pays us interest of 2.5% per annum on our CPF ordinary account. The inflation rate right now is 5%. That means you are paying CPF 2.5% per year of your CPF money. Multiply that CPF by 2.5% and you can figure out how much you are being indirectly taxed by CPF each year. Perhaps the government considers this to be fund management fees, except that you have no choice, they lose our money on risky investments, and you can't change managers. Number 3, ERP and COE. But the traffic jams are even worse nowadays. And COE is a quota system. So it makes no sense for the COEs to cost so much. So ERP and COE have failed in their purpose. The only purpose they serve is to generate more revenue for the government. Number 4, social taxes. The casinos brought in a lot of tax money for the government, but their costs are borne by Singaporeans in the form of gambling addiction, broken families, an increase in unsavory activities that accompany casino businesses, an influx of low-skilled foreigners competing with Singaporeans for living space, transportation, and jobs. At the same time, wages are barely keeping pace with inflation. The 14.5% GDP growth that the government likes to boast about. So we Singaporeans are still earning the same as always before. And at the same time, we have to work harder and longer, face more pressure, compete with cheap foreign labor, plan for retirement, raise our kids, and on top of all this, we are told by highly paid ministers that we are dumb. No talent, no talent, they tell us. That is also why they think we will swallow their argument that their salaries should be pegged to the top 6 earners in various professions every year. Every year, they choose again the 6 at the top, not reflecting the risks and the accountability these market leaders are subjected to. CEOs are fired for their mistakes. Businessmen take risks and make losses. So how can the private sector be a fair benchmark? We at the SDP recommend that ministers are paid a salary 30 times the median salary in Singapore. That would ensure it is in their interest to make sure your salary increases as well.